Guys, welcome back to Converge. 2017, 2016 is gone. Now we're in the new year, right? The new year is always kind of cool. I'm going to take this off now. The new year is always pretty cool. It's like a turning of a page. One of my favorite things about a new year is getting a new calendar. I get to rip December off the last calendar, and I get to stick that new calendar up on the wall and start to pencil things in, like mom's birthday or Converge on Wednesday night or staff meetings or church on Sunday. I like to just put things on that calendar, and I just like getting a new calendar. That's one of my things for the new year. I like getting a new journal. Some people get new planners, new journals, new calendars. Other people set goals, like fitness goals, spiritual goals, fitness goals, educational, athletic, eating habits. Maybe like eat more, like if you're trying to get swole, or like eat less. But as I was kind of reflecting this year on my goals for 2017, right? I sat down and I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to set new goals for 2017. What am I going to do? What am I going to focus on this year? Where am I going to spend most of my time? So I sat down and I asked myself three legitimate questions that I pondered on, that I thought about for hours and hours. I literally did this on Saturday and just spent hours working on this. But the three questions were, how can I deepen my relationship with Christ? How can I improve my resolutions from this last year to a fuller life with Him? And have I made my goals kingdom-minded and Christ-centered? As I was working through those resolutions and those three questions, I was doing Googling, and I was like, what do 20-year-olds set for resolutions? On Google, I was like, why not? I was just reading through them, and then I was like, not really getting anything, so then I put, what do 20-some-old Jesus followers set for resolutions? I got more information on that, more applicable, but it's just like any other goal that you set in life, or any other New Year's resolution. Like, what's that cliche one? What's the cliche goal for the new year? Working out, right? Awesome. So I'm going to go to the gym every day for the next year, 365 days. I'm going to be at that gym. I'm going to get swole. I'm going to get big. Yeah. Get swole, yeah. What happens after a month? You stop going because you're sore. You've been going every day for the last month. You're completely sore. You're hurting. It's painful. You're done. And you never step back into the gym after the 30 days. You may go back like a week before Thanksgiving. You may go back a day after Thanksgiving, maybe a couple days before Christmas, all those pictures, And then you say, maybe I should go back New Year's Eve, or the day before New Year's, and say, I'm going to keep going. I said I was going to work out more. I'm going to finish the year off. But those 200 and some days throughout the middle of the year that you didn't go, what happened there? It happens all the time. It's called burnout, and that can happen in our everyday lives. And when I was going through that article, it was talking about godly ways to maintain Christ-centered goals. And there's a slide for it. So the very first point or article that this website had was about discerning wisely. What does discerning wisely mean? Think about that in your mind. What does discerning mean? What does wisely mean? Discerning means I'm going to sit down and really think about what God is telling me in my quiet time. How God is utilizing my time spent with Him to speak to me. So if I'm going to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to talk with God about my goals for this next year, I'm going to discern. I'm going to figure out what He's saying. And I'm going to do that wisely because I'm trying to figure out what He's saying to me, through me. The second one that was mentioned was resolving dependently. What that means is really thinking about discerning wisely and resolving dependently upon the Lord throughout the next year. So if you set a goal and say, I'm going to really think about it, I'm going to say, yeah, I think that's what God's telling me. That's what he's discerning to me. That's what I'm grabbing from him. And I'm going to depend upon him this next year. And I'm going to say, hey, God, you got it, man. Like, I'm going to follow you. I'm going to be supported by you. The third one, settling humbly. Recognizing and realizing that I can't do it on my own. My goals and whatever I set out for the next year is going to be nothing if I don't center them with Christ in the middle of them. And the last one is determining for his glory. There's one of my favorite Bible verses in the Bible verses, 1 Corinthians 10:31, and it says, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. So that's just one of my favorite ones, and it reminds me on this point, determining for his glory. Are my goals that I'm setting for my life going to honor God throughout this next year? Are they going to be truthful? Are they going to be worthy to place them in God's hands? There was a quote on the same website that I was reading through. I couldn't figure out who wrote it. There was no author on it. But this is what it says. We cannot resolve to do anything with an arrogant attitude before God. The whole matter of making resolutions is not just goal setting so that we may have happier lives. We're called by God according to his will, not our own. For Christ's sake, not our own. For it is not unto us, but unto him that all glory belongs. So as I was preparing for this message and Converge this week, I was like, what am I going to talk about? Like, what is applicable to students this week? We're coming back to Converge. 2017 is this year. 2016 was last year. So we're coming back, and what is applicable? What do they want to hear? What do they need to hear this week? Every Sunday, I lead a small group at Hope Kids for Converge students that sit in this very room that go serve on Sunday over there. And after the message, the kids break off to their small groups, and the students come with me, and I lead that small group. And usually in that small group, I talk about my quiet time and what I'm grabbing from God and what God's telling me. And I ask the students the same question: what is God telling you? How's God working in your life? And this week I asked them, what resolutions have you guys set? What resolutions do you want to work on throughout this next year? So these are just complete, no specific order of resolutions, but this is what students your age are saying. I want to get and set a better quiet time with God. I want to get better dance moves. I want to have more quality time with my dad, practice more singing, abstain from the dating world, get better grades, be a better person, grow closer to God, run faster, jump higher, get a purple belt, think better of myself, learn to drive, get a permit, go to the gym more. All of those are resolutions that people your age, students your age, are setting out for this next year. And a lot of the time, when we set those resolutions, we're setting our minds on things forward. That's why we're starting a new sermon series this week. It's called Make It New. There's a cool graphic. It's awesome. But that's what the sermon series that Jeff and I are going to be going through the next couple of weeks on is just making it new this 2017 year, leaving your old self in 2016 and moving forward with a life and a relationship with Christ. As we transition to the new year with new goals, I'm reminded of a Bible verse in Philippians. It's 1:6. Who came to church on Sunday? Who came to church on Sunday? Who heard Pastor Scott speak? He killed it, right? He talked about this Bible verse, and it was awesome that he talked about it, because I was like, man, that was perfect. I had already written that in my sermon for Wednesday. But it says, "For I am confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will perfect it until the day of Christ Jesus." He began working in you long before you were born. He began working for you long before you were born. And if we really think about that and work that out, God had that planned out before Jesus was even on this earth. But Jesus himself began working for that for you when he was at the cross. And when you gave your life to him, and when I gave my life to him, that's when he started working in us. Scott talked about being justified, and justification. That's being freed from the penalty of sin. And when we give our life to Christ, that's justification. That's you're justified of a wrongdoing. And he also talked about the sanctification process, and that's the process from the moment you give your life to Christ to the day that you meet him up in heaven. So if you continue just living your life for Christ and doing everything for him and setting goals with him at the center of them, that's how the sanctification process works. Just being formed and freed from the power of sin. And until the day that we meet him, that's when the glorification process, that's when glorification is there, it's presented to you, because then you are freed from the power and the presence of sin. It's an awesome concept that Scott just blew away for me. I probably just stuttered that whole time, but he if you were here on Sunday, he explained it. He was awesome. We'll go through it again. But more on a realistic, understandable level. Who played the game Red Light, Green Light when you were younger? Raise your hand. That was an awesome game, right? On Sunday, we played it in Hope Kids, and I was just thinking about it. If the second someone says green light, right, what do? You run. You book it. You're trying to get as far as you can on that green light before it turns red. But when it turns red, you have to stop, right? That happens, that can happen in our lives. We can think about, man, I have a green light. Like, I was just given a green light from God. Like, I gave my life to Christ. I'm living for him. I'm doing everything for him. It's green. I'm going. But the second you hit certain situations in life, like lust or just different situations in life that aren't truly honorable to God, when that red light hits and you keep going, you're still running, it doesn't mean you go back to the start like in the game. That whole sanctification process continues to propel you towards Christ, because Christ is using those circumstances to push you further, to bring you closer to him, and to that point that we meet him up in heaven. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." A perfect example is what we expose ourselves to. If we're exposing ourselves to wrongdoing, to inappropriateness, to bad behaviors, that's what we're going to live out in our everyday lives. That's what our vocabulary is going to be like. That's what our actions are going to resemble. Yesterday, I did some researching, and I'm like, what are the top 3 songs of 2016? Does anyone know the top song of 2016? All right, so the very number 1 song for 2016 was Starboy. Has anyone heard it? Yeah, so I had never heard it before. It's crazy. I was reading through it, and it was like, wow. So there's, just read the fun facts real quick. Listen to the fun facts. There's 84 lines in the lyrics of Starboy. 37 of them had inappropriate words or bad language or inappropriate actions, behaviors. It's crazy. That's 44% of the song that was just filthy. And then another 20% was him laughing. I thought that was pretty funny. What number 2 song? Someone said it. Black Beatles, yeah. I'd never heard that one before either. It's kind of crazy. There's 67 lines in that song. and 56 of those lines had inappropriate words, actions. It's just crazy. Like, this is what people our age, my age included, are listening to. That's 83% of the song. That was just like, what? And then the number 3 song. What's the number 3 song? Who could? No. No, I don't know. Okay, it's Closer. Closer was the number 3 song for 2016. That one has 62 lines, and 27 of those had inappropriate words, inappropriate language, and behaviors, and just things that we shouldn't be exposing ourselves to. So if we look at the stats of those 3 songs, one with having more than 80%, and the other 2 more than 40%, like those songs that we're listening to, our people our age are listening to, are stuff we shouldn't be listening to. If we have a relationship with Christ and we're setting our eyes above and our heads above, our minds above, that stuff is just, it's garbage. But we're putting that stuff in our lives, and we're exposing ourselves to it. And the time after time, if you continue to live that way, that stuff is going to show in your everyday life. It's going to come out in your vocabulary. It's going to come out in your actions, and you're going to justify it, saying it's fine, like that he's doing it. It blew me away. I was like, wow. Paul put it in the letter. Paul wrote it in a letter to the church in Ephesus. Ephesians 5:11 says, "Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them." It's easy to walk away from a situation like that, but a lot of the times we don't have the confidence to say, okay, like, man, like that song's playing on my friend's iPod over there. Like, he'll probably think I'm a weirdo if I take the headphone out. But that sets up a perfect opportunity, a perfect way to share the gospel with them and say, your friend's going to be like, dude, why'd you take out the earbud? Thank you. Why'd you take out the earbud? Like, that's the number 1 song in the nation right now. Like, this is what we're listening to. What's up? And you could just be like, hey, man, like, I don't listen to that. You know, like, swag it out. Swag it out. You know, I don't listen to that. Like, that's not what I expose myself to. I have a friend that his parents never took them to an R-rated movie because there was just inappropriate things in them. They never wanted their kids to be exposed to it. And to this day, my friend doesn't go to R-rated movies. And he tells friends, like, hey, I can't go to that movie. Like, my parents said, no, it's not cool. Like, there's inappropriate things, there's inappropriate language. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm a Jesus follower. Jesus follower. It's, when you see that, it kind of reminds me of, like, have you ever seen, like, a TV show where, like, it's kind of corny and they have, like, that abort button? It's like, abort. Like, that's what I think of, like, just pressing that button, like pressing that abort button and just, like, running away from the situation and honoring God and honoring yourself with that. 1 Peter 5:8 says, be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around you like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Resist him, firm in your faith, knowing that the same kinds of suffering are being experienced by your brethren throughout the world. The very first day of middle school, how old are middle schoolers? Like 11 and 12? Right? 11 and 12. Awesome. So I was 11, maybe 12. I was 11 because it was the very first day of middle school. I was just walking to the bus after school, you know, like I had my little backpack on, and this kid, like, came up to me and was like, what's up, dude? I'm like, hi. You know, like, I had a really high voice in 6th grade. But he asked me if I wanted pot, and I'm like, what? Like, what's that? And I was like, no, I don't want any of that. And, like, I ran to the bus, like, but, like, the devil is out there just like that. He's going to grab you. He's going to try to just shake you around, pulling you closer to that. But if you have the Word and God and Jesus close to you, you're going to be like, no, I can resist that. I don't need that. I'm not going to expose myself to that. A couple months ago, Pastor Jeff went through 1 John, and Pastor Jeff was talking about how Paul had a reputation in hell. In reality, that's true. he had a reputation in hell because everything was just trying to pull him down and get him to experience the inappropriateness and all the bad stuff. But he resisted, and he just pursued Christ, pursued God to the fullest. And that's how we should be in our everyday lives, just running towards God, just like I ran from that kid and said, "Hey man, I don't want any pot. What is that?" But we just stand firm in what we believe in, and that's what it's important. If we continue coming to Converge, we're listening to the Word of God, hopefully, of what I say and what Pastor Jeff says and what Pastor Vance and everyone that comes on this stage or on this floor and just speaks the word of truth. That's what God is saying to us. That's what we should all be accepting and realizing how important it is, because people across this nation, people across this world are giving up their lives to hear what God has to say and honoring Him and faithfully pursuing Him. When we're watchful and when we're careful, we can see what's going on. That's why we need to be watchful. And we can't let that substances or that inappropriateness or any of that grab a hold of us. We have to stay sober-minded and cleanse with Christ. When Christ went on that cross, He cleansed us of all of it. When you gave your life to Him, you've been justified. And that sanctification process that's going on right now is what's going to bring you closer to Him. It's how you're going to recognize Him. It's going to be how you're going to see Him in your daily life, in your quiet time. When you're in the Word and in Him, you'll see that. It'll be close to you. It'll be in your heart. It's that cliche saying, like, new year, new me. The book of Malachi, which is the book right before Matthew, it talks about how God is the same. He's not going to change throughout this year. He's not going to say, "Hey, I'm going to push you away because you sinned again." He's going to pull you closer because that's what He said. He's going to grab you closer. He's going to bring you close to His heart. And He's going to say, "Child, I love you. No matter what you do, no matter how far you push away, I'm going to continue loving you every single day." As we move throughout this next year, and as you think about goals and resolutions for this next year, in small group time and at home or wherever you really sit down and focus on that, I'm praying that you just realize how important it is to have a relationship with Christ. Because you've been justified, if you're sitting in your chair right now and you're saying, "I'm a Jesus follower. I wear that banner above my head. I wear that hat that says I'm a Jesus follower." I'm praying and I'm hoping that you can find it in your heart to just set godly goals and resolutions for this next year. So just close your eyes real quick. Just close your eyes for a second. No one's going to be looking. No one's focusing on you. Focus with right now your eyes on Christ above. Being cleansed and renewed this next year, when you set your faith and your trust in God, that's how we can grow closer. That's how you can grow closer. God's watching you right now. God's thinking of you right now. He's holding you right now, telling you, "Child, I'm right here. Place your trust in me. Draw near to me. I'm holding you. Say yes." God is in this room, and I'm praying that the Holy Spirit may come down right now. I'm praying for salvation and life change, whatever circumstance you're going through right now. I'm praying that your life may be renewed and restored with Christ right next to you right now, in you right now. I'm praying that any darkness in your life, any situation that you are going through, I'm praying that you may be restored from that God and Christ may pull you through that. Pastor Vance has a saying that he says often: you're either in a storm, coming out of a storm, or going through a storm. Whether that be you in a storm right now, or you just got through a storm, let me assure you that God just pulled you through that. God is holding you through that. God is going to pull you through that and restore you, renew you. Set your mind on Him. Tell him that he's a true hope in your life. He's a true God, that he's going to love you and that you're going to love him. So with your eyes right now, think to yourself, your eyes are closed, no one's looking. Just be yourself. There's leaders all across this room right now. And think about, did I walk close with God in 2016? How am I going to walk closer with him in 2017? And is there anything I need to expose to the Lord tonight? If there's anything in your heart right now that you need to lift up to the Lord, give it to him. Glorify him tonight. God, I just pray for our students tonight, God. I pray for our small group time, and I pray for our worship time right now, God. God, we just lift up tonight, God, and we just pray for reassurance and love and all that. God, we thank you for what you're doing in the hearts of students, and we thank you for tonight. We thank you for this opportunity, and we thank you for small groups. God, we're thankful for you tonight. God, we thank you. Draw near to us. Grab us tonight, God. We're here for you, and you're here for us, God. God, thank you.